Macmillan Audio presents The Ageless Brain, How to Sharpen and Protect Your Mind for a Lifetime by Dale E. Bredesen, MD. Read for you by Robert Petkoff. This book is dedicated to the fraction of medical researchers and practitioners, physicians, scientists, naturopathic doctors, nurse practitioners, neuropsychologists, health coaches, and others with the courage, insight, and compassion to study, practice, and advance personalized 21st century medicine that is focused on patient outcomes rather than outdated practices. On behalf of the many whose lives you have saved, thank you. Introduction. Time is the broker through which we trade our youth and vitality for experience and wisdom. Essentially, the deal is energetics for information. But it turns out that the exchange rate, which is our biological aging rate, varies dramatically. Some of us will reach 100 filled with knowledge and capability, whereas others of us will get to 40, look like we're 70, and already struggle to remember our phone number. So the question is, how do we obtain the best exchange rate? In other words, how do we keep our brains youthful, healthy, and functional for the entirety of our lives? Until recently, the answer has been a shoulder shrug. No idea. But our armamentarium against brain aging has grown dramatically in just the past few years, and that is what this book is all about. Starting right here and now, with just a few changes to the way you care for your brain, you can have sharper thoughts, crystal clear memories, the ability to learn new information easily, and the capacity to take better control of your moods and emotions. What's more, you can retain these powers for 100 years of life or even longer. That might seem like an awfully big claim. And you know what? It is. What you will hear in this book, after all, is not yet part of mainstream medicine. I do want to be upfront about that. The information contained in these pages is not what you would hear from most doctors if you were to ask them how to prevent brain aging and disease. What they are likely to tell you is that brain aging is inevitable, and that neurological disease is nothing short of fate if you've inherited the wrong kinds of genes. Alas, that is what is widely accepted. I am among a small but quickly growing number of physicians, however, who no longer think about the human brain in this way, for we know that what is widely accepted is not always what is true. For example, it was once widely accepted that as we age, our hearts simply weaken, exhausted from a lifetime of reliably contracting and expanding some 2.5 billion times across our lifetimes until this organ can simply beat no more. Today we know that we can do many things to strengthen our hearts and lengthen their usefulness. Some of these decisions, diet and exercise and the like, should start early and continue throughout our lives. Some measures, supplementation and medication and some medical procedures, can come along later and still be effective. And some interventions, bypass surgeries and transplants, are there for when things go very, very wrong. But I would argue there is virtually nobody who still believes that nothing can be done to extend the usefulness of a human heart. It was once widely accepted that as we age, our cells become more prone to mutation, and these mutations become more prone to spread. Eventually, the logic went, our healthy cells would be outnumbered, and this would be the beginning of an inevitable and often very painful end. Today, we know that there are many things we can do to prevent this problem, which is called cancer, to catch it early, to slow its growth, and in many cases, to vanquish it. As is the case for our hearts, there are things we should be doing early in our lives, interventions that can happen a little later on, and emergency measures that can be taken when things get very bad. But there is virtually nobody who still believes nothing at all can be done about cancer. It was one.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?